fake bitches. And I'll go home, go home, go home, go home, go home, skedaddle.
Matt James' season of The Bachelor is off to a wild start, and we're breaking down what we can expect from week 3. Hey guys, welcome back to another Shared News from Home. We are so excited to talk about all things The Bachelor, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Gabby Ganta and Hiba Berry. Hi guys.
Hi, Fiona.
Hey, Fiona.
Hello, hello. So I know we have all been loving Matt's season. And of course, last week's episode left us with quite the cliffhanger. ABC has just revealed new details about what we can expect in this week's coming episode. So let's dive right in. We obviously finished last week mid-rose ceremony because Sarah felt faint and needed to see a medic. They left us hanging, so we, of course, don't know exactly what went wrong or who's even safe and who ended up going home. So that will obviously be very interesting to see how all that plays out in the coming week. The episode synopsis reveals that Sarah is going to be a major part of the entire episode. It says, quote, Sarah is at the center of an emotional firestorm that envelops Matt and the other women as the rose ceremony continues. So very interesting to see, what actually caused Sarah to feel faint, if it somehow connects back to all of the drama that we saw coming into play before the ceremony.
I'm so grateful I have a rose because Victoria ruined the night.
She, of course, wasn't involved in any of that. So I'm very curious to know what you guys think this could mean. Gabby?
That's really strange. Emotional firestorm is quite the powerful, words to describe this. So it must be something really big. I could only imagine she was just feeling faint from the day. I don't know if it was stress or something like that. I'm curious to find out what that was, or maybe she had something on her chest that she didn't reveal, or maybe she did, have something happen with one of the other girls, or she was really feeling for the Marilyn and Victoria situation. I know she was talking a little bit about that.
Maybe he is seeing a different side to her, but the longer she's here, the more I question my relationship with Matt.
So not sure how it all ended this way, but most of all, I just hope she's okay and that, any issues that arise between her and the other girls or Matt, that can just get settled and they can continue with the rose ceremony and just overall continue with the episode. What do you think, Hiba? Do you have any theories about what might happen?
Ooh, it was really interesting that she, out of everyone, was the one that fainted or was feeling uneasy because she was holding a rose. So she was safe. She was ready to go,
I've never felt like this before. And right now, just overwhelmed.
So it was interesting that she fainted, period. And I don't want to, question someone's health, let alone someone passing out at the work of, maybe the producers. I don't know. I just feel kind of uneasy saying that because it could have been real. We just won't really ever really know. But it just seems I don't know, maybe it was the pressure of the cameras, the lights. It really could have been anything. But hopefully they kind of dive into really what happened in the next episode because it really was a big cliffhanger. And it could have been at the hands of the producers maybe orchestrating this, or it could have been real. Again, we won't know. But yeah, I hope she's okay, first of all. I mean, that's all that's really important is that she's okay at this point. But honestly, as far as what could have caused that, she did, like you mentioned, Gabby, she was kind of saying that she was feeling uneasy in the context of the drama that was going on between Victoria and the other contestants, and just kind of how Victoria was still continuing to be in the show, and it kind of questioned Matt's judgment about her. So maybe it could have been a stress combination of that. But honestly, again, we'll just have to see what next episode will reveal.
Yes, we of course certainly hope that she is okay. We did see her looking totally fine in the teaser for next week, so hopefully everything on that front will be good for the rest of the season. Aside from seeing how, the rose ceremony plays out and what's going on with Sarah, we also have been teased another very unique group date. And we're going to see a familiar face. One of Bachelor Nation's faves is going to be joining them this week as well. The synopsis says, quote, a steamy group date featuring Bachelor Nation favorite Ashley I offers the women a chance to write their own hot love scenes with Matt and read them to him in front of a live audience. This date is quite literally probably my worst nightmare. I'm assuming that live audience, by the way, will probably be, we'll see what they did, last season where they just had the rest of the house come and watch. So I assume we're going to see probably everyone on this date, but maybe not. Who knows? It looks like from the photos they've released, we'll be seeing Queen Victoria, Bree, Rachel, Anna, Kylie, Lauren, Serena C, Kit, Katie, and Kayla. So first of all, I want your thoughts on this concept. I think it's going to be really telling to see what they all come up with. And, pretty interesting to see how he reacts. He's, kind of shy. He's a little reserved. I'll be curious how he feels throughout all of this. What are your thoughts, Gabby?
Me too. I was shocked to read this because I know a lot of the girls are kind of out there and crazy and don't mind saying or doing whatever they want. But on the other hand, Matt does seem more reserved, and he has a good sense of humor, so he'll laugh everything off, but he seems a little uncomfortable at times. So maybe that's the producer's intent, to make him uncomfortable in order to kind of push the boundaries and limits and then get him to know these girls a little bit better, a little bit faster. That might be their tactic there. But I think they're all going to have a lot of fun with it. These girls especially are some of the most outgoing ones. And that's a good point. Like you were saying, the other girls are probably going to be in the audience, which is going to stir some drama, because who wants to read these crazy fantasies out loud, especially in front of girls that you're trying to become friends with and also competing against. So it's going to get spicy for sure.
100% worst nightmare ever to have to do this ever. I would not be comfortable. And yeah, it's so weird because, again, you're probably going to be reading this in front of the entire house, and this is an intimate fantasy. And yeah, that's just kind of something that you don't really want shared. It's kind of like reading what would happen in a fantasy suite to an audience. So I mean, maybe this could be a foreshadowing for what the fantasy suites will entail. But yeah, I definitely think that the women are a lot more, no filter. They will say exactly what they're thinking about Matt. And he is a little bit more, reserved, like you guys have mentioned. So again, I feel like these women probably won't have any issue, because in their commentary, on the side when they do the interviews, they're just obviously very vocal about Matt, the way he looks, the way he dresses, just physicality wise. So I feel like they will have no problem doing this challenge.
Yes, I definitely cannot wait to hear some of the stuff that they come up with. I do want to call out, I know we've been talking about her a lot, but Queen Victoria is going to be on this date. And obviously we left off with that cliffhanger. We left off with Matt, trying to referee the drama between her and Marilyn. It's very common in these, typical scenarios where two people end up debating, their side versus the other side with the lead. Typically, somebody ends up getting sent home and somebody ends up staying. Or, in a perfect world, they both get sent home, but more often than not, somebody gets to stay. So I'm just curious. I mean, Victoria's on this date. We can see it in these pictures. We have to assume that means she gets a rose. Does that mean he ends up sending home Marilyn? She seemed so innocent. I'm just so curious how you guys think that drama is going to end up playing out this week. Hiba?
I feel like every Bachelor, Bachelorette season, they have to have a villain. Otherwise, the audience will get bored. They need that drama to kind of carry on the season and to add, that spice, that suspense drama, of course. And it just seems like it's point blank, definitely Victoria. And I think the producers kind of push and whisper in Matt's ear, keep her for one more week, just one more. And it keeps adding and adding and adding just because she is the villain and she is entertainment. And this is reality TV, and it goes together. So I feel like, unfortunately, Marilyn probably was sent home, and I feel like that was kind of inevitable because they didn't really seem to connect or get a lot of time together. I mean, Matt did bring her an orchid, which was very sweet, but that's all that's kind of happened as far as that relationship progressing. So I feel like, yeah, just for the ratings and for the entertainment, just to, have something to tweet about even more, these producers are just kind of stringing her along. And poor Matt, I guess, is kind of along for the road for that.
I totally agree with everything you said. I think I was hoping, really hanging on to hope that Marilyn wouldn't have been sent home because of all this drama. But now that we've seen the promo and it's clearly featuring Victoria and we don't see any clips of Marilyn in it. And then again, they've released new photos where Victoria's on the date and no sign of Marilyn still. I really think that it ends up being the case. And it's just really sad because, what went down between them, I feel like shouldn't have even been an issue at all. Although, we did take a look at some scenes that weren't included in the episode. So there's always going to be like two sides of the story, and we don't really know exactly what went down besides what the producers want us to see.
Anytime I talk or do anything, I'm like shut down and I feel not happy, honestly.
So Marilyn threw my bags out.
So if it's true that Victoria stays, I think her days are numbered because of just how she's been acting, and I don't really see a connection forming between her and Matt, especially with the other girls. But I'm here for it. I'm here for all the drama to go down next week and even for weeks to come. If it's Victoria who's the villain, if it becomes somebody new down the line, it's fun. It's fun to watch. And I just hope that, no matter what, Matt gets closer and closer to who he is supposed to find. And if that means sending Marilyn home because there wasn't really a connection between them either, then it all makes sense and it's working towards the better end of the show.
Yes, it will certainly be interesting to see how all of this plays out. I am with you, Gabby. I don't really see a connection between Victoria and Matt. So I think her days will be numbered. Also, she kind of has beef with literally everyone in the house. So no matter what, as long as she's here, she's going to be an interesting character. But moving on to some connections that we are sort of starting to see blossom between Matt and the girls. It looks like this week we're going to be seeing more of Serena P and her connection with Matt. And if they're able to take it to the next level, she gets a specific shout out in the synopsis. It says, Serena P finds out if her initial feelings for Matt could develop into something more serious. Now, this is kind of interesting to me because they all have to figure out if their initial feelings for Matt could develop into something more serious. That is literally why we're here. So I don't know. I feel like I'm curious, on what you guys think, what you've seen of them so far, but also just like, does this maybe hint at she realizes there isn't something there? I'm just so curious why they choose, this specific wording. What do you think, Hiba?
You know what? She hasn't had a lot of screen time compared to the other girls in the previous episodes, but I do remember a point in the teaser or the promo for the upcoming season where she's like heavily making out with Matt and I think a jacuzzi. So I feel like she's fine. She's probably going to fall for him very hard. So I feel like she's going to be the new front runner competing against Brie and Sarah because Brie and Sarah have been kind of dominating in the previous episodes. So I feel like maybe Serena P will be, the new person to watch out for and might be the new person on Matt's radar. So we'll have to see.
I agree. That's a good prediction for next week. I think you're right, Fiona. They didn't really give us much in this description, but probably because they're just holding back what's really going to happen on that date because it's probably going to be very telling for their relationship. I think Serena P is so cute and her and Matt would make a great couple in the end. So hopefully she does go far. And, we do see those future scenes of her and Matt really hitting it off. Like you were saying, Hiba, she hasn't got too much screen time. So I think we've seen, a couple cute moments of them together. And I'm sure there's even more that hasn't necessarily aired on the show yet. But I think as soon as she gets this one-on-one date, we're just going to fall in love with her, just like we have with Brie and Sarah and the other girls who we've gotten to know a little bit more.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be really exciting just to continue to get to know these girls. We know so many people applied for this season. So hopefully she is an incredible girl that we're going to be so excited to have in Bachelor Nation. I have a feeling just like last season, by the end of it, there were so many great guys that I was so curious how we were going to pick a winner. I'm really hoping for that same energy this time around. That being said, this last little bit of the synopsis is a warning for some trouble ahead for Matt, which is obviously always so tough to see. It says, even though his journey has just started, Matt's biggest fear comes to pass, leaving him devastated. So you hate to see the lead devastated, and you certainly hate to see it literally week 3. I am so curious, what his biggest fear is. I know he's talked a lot about being afraid of being vulnerable, how it can be difficult for him to open up. Of course, he's afraid of getting hurt, getting his heart broken.
I felt those feelings with her, but it hurts.
But I'm having a hard time imagining what this could be. I don't know that he's made a deep enough connection with anyone yet to truly find himself heartbroken, So what do you guys think? What what do you think we could see hurting Matt this week, even though we hate to see it?
Yeah, this is so sad to hear. I think Matt's doing so well as the Bachelor already. He's really putting himself out there, and the girls are giving that back to him in return. I think even in those moments on the one-on-one dates when he's saying, what can I do to be a better Bachelor and a better, potential boyfriend or fiance for you? I think that's so amazing to watch. I think the only thing that could maybe leave him devastated is if some connections that he's already formed and things are growing happen to end for some reason. I know that Sarah was even saying in last week, she was questioning him keeping Victoria around specifically and saying, if he keeps her around the way she's acting, it doesn't really make sense for us to be together because I'm completely opposite from her. So she was just starting to have some doubts in that. So I feel like the longer Matt keeps Victoria, Sarah specifically, or the other girls are going to start thinking that way and start questioning their relationship or Matt's decisions. So that could be something that turns the girls off. I know when Sarah, faints, maybe that's a big moment for her to just kind of shocks her and realizes that, I had a great date with you, but there's actually some more bigger priorities in my life. Maybe she remembers her dad and that he's possibly having issues and just really wants to go home and be back with him. So maybe she sends herself home because she's just not feeling it or doesn't really want to continue the process unless, both of them are 100% sure. I know we see a clip in the promo of her kind of breaking down, and there wouldn't really be a reason for that unless they're having an issue. And then that would make sense because her and Matt really started a great connection off on the right foot. So I think it does have to do with Sarah, or even in the promo, they edited it to make it seem like it was Bree. Maybe there was a shot of him and Bree having a good moment. And then Matt says, he starts crying and says that really hurt me or something like that. So I think it could be about Sarah or Bree because he just has a connection with both of them. But I don't know. What do you think, Hiba?
That's a really good theory. And I feel like that's very believable too, because it definitely keeping Victoria around, the girls start to kind of question what is Matt really looking for, because, Victoria does speak very disrespectfully to all the other women. And to have Matt keep her around, again, it just seems like because she's such a disrespectful person, it kind of makes the other women question themselves if they really know Matt and what he wants. So I feel like it would be a really good conspiracy and theory if Sarah ends up just sending herself home, and maybe her fainting is kind of like that epiphany she needed early on before she gets too invested. So yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head, Gabby, with that theory. So I definitely agree with that. So yeah, we'll just have to see really what is making Matt so vulnerable and kind of break down like that too.
Yeah, I mean, these are really, really great points, you guys. I think that it definitely, when you have a character like Victoria, whether it ends up being Sarah in particular, or, if the other girls just all kind of verbalize to him that, let's say he does send Marilyn home and everyone kind of unites and is like, no, that was a huge mistake. Victoria has literally offended all of us. What are you doing?
Yeah.
They all kind of have license to call him out. That could be very difficult for him to go through as well. I do think that when you are a sole villain against all of the other women, your time is numbered. So no matter what, whether it's Victoria related, Sarah related, all of the above, it'll be very, very difficult to watch all of that play out next week. But of course, Matt has an entire season to find love and be happy. So better days are most likely to come very soon. All right, you guys, on that note, we want to know what you think is going to happen next week. Are you excited to see more of Victoria? Do you have any other theories as to what could have Matt so upset? Let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the lovely Gabby Ganta and Hiba Berry. All of our socials are on the screen right now. Come say hi and tell us all of your Bachelor theories. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.